Yeah, so we're going to be building Mimikyu today. So at the bare minimum, it's four colours. So that's black, it's yellow, it's red, and it's brown for the tail. Now you can do more colours. You'll see in the pattern there's going to be places where there's the black. However, it's kind of like there's sort of different types of colours in. Like there's reds and browns. You don't have to do them. I don't know if you can see it on the eye. You can kind of see the different colours. However, pretty much all the other bits of black, I just did them black. And you can kind of see from the eyes at a distance it looks black as well, so you don't even notice it. It's 52 layers, so it goes from 0 to 51. Yeah, so hopefully you enjoy it. I'll show some close-up videos of it, and I'll also go through where I put silicon and stuff as well. Here is an example of the Mimikyu's pattern. So this is layer 7. What this green line indicates is actually where the infill that I put in Mimikyu was. So an easy way to do to make sure it matches on every layer is see this darker line here which has the grid numbers to the right of it. Basically it's 1 to the right of that and 2 to the left. So you'd have 2 going here, which is these two lines, and then 1 to the right of that darker line. Now Mimikyu itself is 52 layers, so it goes from 0 to 51. Make sure you've checked out the video that I get sent to you when you become a Patreon, as that'll tell you about references and everything like that. So when building Mimikyu, every 4 layers I added toothpicks. So I'd build from layer 0, 1, 2, 3, and then toothpicks would be added to hammer them in at points such as a front, a side, a back, and the other side. That's where the toothpicks would be added. Then again, another 4 were added, and toothpicks were the same, in which case you're still adding them at the sides. Although usually, as this is now pushed back in one, from where it began, so it began at kind of out here, you can stick them to the furthest out point, and it will still fit in without hitting another toothpick. And again, all these pieces you see in the middle, you do want to build them like these ones, because otherwise you're going to have holes in your actual model. Except from this one, you don't actually want to build this one on layer 6. I didn't realize that was still in the model. So basically everything else the layers you see is the same, except from the square in layer 6. That shouldn't be there. But you want to just put this green line through every layer, and it'll help work. Now, when I got up to layer, let's see, around layer 34, 35, that's where I stopped adding toothpicks. Now, the problem with adding toothpicks at this point is they're essentially going to be going into sort of a void space. There's nothing really there. A good way to strengthen it is the piece that's going to be going through here in the center, the green sort of bit, or whatever color you choose. You can put toothpicks into that as well, and that'll add even more strength. But this is where I stopped adding toothpicks, and you start wanting to glue layer by layer and letting them kind of set. Because after this point, the piece is going to be so fragile and so overhung that it's going to be hard to actually push the toothpicks in without actually just breaking the piece. So with all these pieces from then on, I just glued them one at a time, gave it maybe 5 minutes, added the next layer, glued 5 minutes, and so on until I got to the very end. And then I'll go through where I put silicon on the actual model. What I'm just going to do is run through the pattern. And yeah, as long as you know your references of where you're going to be placing it on. For this piece, you only need to think about where it's going up and down, because if you've got this middle section in, then you don't need to. If you got this here, that means your sides will always be evened up, because as long as there's 3 matches, it'll be the same. And it's simply the fact of, is it too far forward or too far back? So again, just make a reference point at the bottom. Okay, they're the same, therefore they go on like this to this. And same with 8, that gets on like that. So these 3 will all be on the same layer, and so on and so forth. So I'll do a quick sort of 360 of Mimikyu as well, that you can have a look. And also you've got this picture here to have a look at. So if we even zoom in, you can kind of have a see of the layers if I go up slowly. Now you will notice your piece won't look as much like this, because I've gone through and I've edited all the pattern, which I like to do when I've built pieces, just because making them sometimes you only get some 90% of the way, and then you've got to kind of edit layers to get the last 10%. So I've fixed the eyes, I've moved where the eyes were, so you've got an eye here instead of here, but this is kind of just giving you how it looks in the stepped areas. Again, the mouth was fixed and so on and so forth. Okay, so you can kind of see a good glimpse there, and again I'll show the actual model itself as well. Okay, but if we just run through each layer, so I'll probably just go through them quite quickly, yeah, and see how that is. So enjoy, guys. So when it comes to the silicone, the place I actually put it was mainly just the ears, and that was actually the only place I did add it. So as you can see here, and you saw it in the tutorial video, you can see the silicone going around. So what I did was I just poured it onto the ears. Now if you don't have silicone, you could maybe add extra glue. PVA would most likely do it. However, I don't know, I've never tried it. But a thin layer, maybe brushed on, might just add as an extra sort of bond. However, just maybe some extra glue, especially if it's clear dried, that should work. But my always recommendation is silicone because I use it and I know it works. So I just put it across all the ears on both sides, and then on the layer that actually joins them, and that just makes them sort of one solid piece with the ears. Yeah, I went through quite a few toothpicks when I actually built it. I cut them in half, hammered them in every 4 layers, and that was fine. You will have a bit at the bottom where it's kind of happened, where the toothpicks have just kind of poked through, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Just give them a little cut. Yeah, so he's concave on the bottom, and he is a solid piece here. As you can see, you can't actually see through him. He's not hollow at the bottom. So when it comes through from layer 7, I think you can kind of see the pattern. I believe layer 7 is where the infill kind of wants to start, and I think that's why I done it. Might start layer 6, but just keep an eye out for that. Anywhere where the black stops going in the center, then that's the layer that you want to start putting that sort of infill. And also you can put it on the layers of the black starch. Just make sure obviously you're not putting it in the black, in the sort of the gap in between the layers where you'll see the previous one. So yeah, I think that's it. Hope you enjoy. Hope you did well in the tutorial. Make sure to send me pictures so I can post them. It'd be really cool to see what people have made. And enjoy, guys.